Hello everyone, this is the Prepared Neighbor, taking steps to help get you, your family, and your neighbors better prepared through awareness and encouragement. Winter is officially here, so before it gets too far along, I wanted to provide some ideas and considerations you might have while preparing a winter survival kit for your car. As a winter ice storm came through in February of 2014, cities all across the southeast were hit hard with debilitating ice and treacherous road conditions. All the way from Birmingham, Alabama, through Atlanta, Georgia, up through Greenville, South Carolina, and many, many towns in between were captured by one of the worst winter storms in recent history. Personally, I had some coworkers in these towns that were not able or didn't leave their work early enough to get home. By the time they did, it was too late, and they were simply trapped with the other thousands of workers trying to get home as well. One went back to his work location and spent the night there. The other stayed in her car until daybreak as she was rescued and taken to safety by the National Guard. And the other person abandoned his car and walked several miles through cold city streets to get home early the next morning. The time to prepare for winter is now. Just like my coworkers, if you wait until the storm has arrived to take the needed steps, you could be just like them, without food, without water, and without a plan to endure a really bad situation. Over the next few minutes, I want to show you some basic steps and actions you can take today that won't necessarily keep you out of a storm like the one in 2014, but will help you sustain your peace of mind and make rational decisions if you're faced with an emergency situation this winter. I encourage you to approach the way you begin assembling your winter survival kit for your car in 3 important elements that will help you become better prepared in case you do find yourself in a winter ice or snowstorm. The first element is maintaining your car or truck in some very basic ways. As road conditions worsen and become wet, slushy, and icy, it's really important that you're able to see where you're headed by keeping your windshield clear and keeping the ice and snow off. If you can't remember the last time you changed your wiper blades, guess what? It's probably a good time to do so. Wiper blades become worn and pitted and lose contact with your glass, causing streaks and less visibility. Topping off your fluids is another way to ensure your car components function properly. Check things like your brake fluid, power steering fluid, antifreeze, transmission fluid, motor oil, and be sure and use the de-icer type of windshield washer fluid during the winter. It will help melt any ice that may accumulate on your wipers or windshield while driving. Daylight in winter is much shorter, which means that you will use your headlights more often as you drive to and from work or around town on daily trips. Since they burn together, if one happens to go out, it's a good idea to replace them in pairs. Not only does this help you see the road at night, but other drivers can see you in bad weather. Next is checking the condition and age of your battery. You can visually inspect to see if you have corrosion around the terminals, which results in bad connection and potential difficulty starting your vehicle. Secondly, check the date code, usually found on the top or side, that has a letter and number code. The letter represents the month, A is January, B is February, and so on, and the number represents the year the battery was made. So C4 means the battery was manufactured in March of 2014. The code E3 is May of 2013, and so on. Another preparedness tip I wish more would consider using all the time is keeping their fuel tank at least half full. In my case, half a tank has now become the new empty, and I fill up regularly before it gets any less. This can help in many situations to make sure you have enough gas to return home without stopping. It also will be extremely valuable if you do become stranded and have to stay in your car. You can keep the engine running to provide heat in the winter or air conditioning in the summer while you wait on help to arrive. Lastly, tires are really important because that is literally where the rubber meets the road. Tire tread helps distribute water and snow away from the path of travel. The more your tread is worn, the less effective your tires become, possibly leaving you stuck or contributing to you going off-road, and I'm not talking about the four-wheel drive fun either. The second element to consider in your winter survival kit is maintaining safety if you stop or get stuck in the ice or snow. Some basic tools I would strongly recommend having in your trunk are jumper cables, a good flashlight that produces a strong bright beam, a can of Fix-A-Flat with a hose type attachment, and check to make sure your car actually has a jack and a spare tire. You would be surprised at how often many used cars do not. Also include a windshield scraper and a first aid kit, flares and a safety triangle to warn other drivers if you're pulled over to the side of the roadway, and an orange or green safety vest to make sure you're seen if you're outside of your vehicle if it becomes immobile. Many of these items can be stored in the jack compartment or near the spare tire and won't take up much room at all. The third major element comes into play if you do become stranded or aren't able to continue in winter weather. This is a decision to stay in place and how to best prepare for this situation. You have probably heard the saying, if you become lost, just stay put and the rescuers will find you. Well, it's true if you become stranded in a winter storm or pulled over due to impassable roads. Staying in place has many advantages that could actually save your life. The car or truck that you're driving provides shelter. You will also have power and a source of light, as well as heat through your car's battery and electrical system. This is why it's important to keep at least a half a tank of gas at all times. In addition to the shelter and power the vehicle may provide, there are some other items that you want to have on hand that make getting caught in an unfortunate winter storm a mere inconvenience and a short period of being uncomfortable instead of being in a real emergency. You should include several types of food that don't expire quickly but do provide energy and some nutrition. Peanut butter lasts a really long time with some crackers, protein bars, dried cereal, maybe some trail mix, beef jerky, and of course some chocolate or candy will work pretty well. Pack enough for each person traveling that will last about 48 hours. Having some water should not be an overlooked item for your winter survival car kit. Usually, about 1 gallon per day per person is a rule of thumb. Eating snow near a roadway can be very dirty and even hazardous. Even eating clean snow can be a risk in that it will lower your body temperature while you're trying to stay warm. Use a good heavy container for water, leaving some head space just in case it freezes. It won't rupture or crack the container. Regardless of what area of the country you may live in, keeping warm enough to survive while staying in place doesn't need to be a big challenge. Maybe a little uncomfortable for some in the northern regions, but certainly not an emergency. Pick up a sleeping bag or extra blanket from thrift stores or from the summer yard sale in your neighborhood. Keep them in your winter kit. Extra socks, a winter cap, gloves, hand warmers, and an emergency candle are also good items to include. If you have the car heater running, be sure to keep your windows cracked to avoid carbon dioxide buildup on the inside over time. A winter survival kit for your car can be constructed simply to cover the basics or to include numerous items that offer additional comfort and convenience during an emergency. As you think through what items are important to you, if required to stay in your car for 24 hours, other things to include might be medication or things that will help pass the time, or a can opener for any canned food items you may have, and don't forget some chocolate. Many retailers sell off-the-shelf survival kits in a bright red bag. While these are attractive from a convenience perspective, they typically include many items that you won't need and are generally higher priced. The best method is for you to be personally involved with building your own winter survival kit. No one knows your needs better than you do, so you'll get exactly what you want and can typically do it while saving money. I hope that you have learned some ideas during this video that motivate you to think about what might happen if caught or stranded during a winter storm and take action next week to build your own winter survival kit. If you prepare now, emergencies don't have to be a life or death situation. There are really many good websites and internet resources to learn more about preparedness for winter and other situations. Thanks for listening, and check out The Prepared Neighbor on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. This is a Prepared Neighbor helping you, your family, and your neighbors become better prepared through awareness and encouragement.